Hello creatives and welcome back. I can't wait to share this design with you guys for 2023. This is a Christmas in July design. So I can't wait to show you, it's not a new technique, but it's just going to be a different method. We're going to be combining 21-inch mesh with 10-inch mesh, a handful of different ribbons done a totally different way for the placement. And we're going to be using a 15-inch which expands all the way up to 24-inch work frame wreath, coupled with a 12-inch sign. So before we get started, I want to welcome you. If you're a first-time follower, welcome. I'm glad you found me here. Let me know where you're from. I'm always super excited to see exactly where people are like popping in all over the United States and sometimes the world. So that's always fun to figure that out. Also, if you want to replicate this design, the easiest way to do it is click the share button below. If you're on Facebook, that'll share this tutorial to your page. And then when you have all your stuff together, or you may want to just incorporate this into a totally different design with other materials you have, this technique and tutorial will be available for you. Also, if you want to be notified when I go live on Facebook, make sure that you are liking and following the page. Now, the follow button is hidden, but I'll show you where to find it. If you look right next to the like button on this page, 3 little dots off to the right-hand side of that, when you click on those, it'll open up a menu that allows you to click follow. And then, should you happen to be on your device when I go live, you should see some sort of a notification to let you know that we are now currently live, which is every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific and every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific, unless there's something else going on. YouTuber is a little bit different. You want to make sure that you hit the subscribe button or the subscribe bell in the upper right-hand corner to make sure you're notified whenever I drop a new video, especially this one. So you're catching this as a replay on an earlier Facebook Live. If you'd like to participate in the live, go to Facebook and then search for Kat's Creations Reese, and that's where you will find me live on those days. Let me go ahead and pull up comments so that I can actually read. Let me make sure. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Mary Carol. I am going to go ahead and type in all the relevant information so I don't forget to do this. So I'm putting in my website address for those of you. That's interesting. It actually did it the right way this time. What? Because normally it does it all in caps, which is weird. All right, we'll pin the comment. So website is posted below. I'm going to go ahead and flip you down so you can go ahead and get started and see all the fun, wonderful things we're going to be doing today. So bear with me 1 second while I just drop the camera down so that you are kind of facing right across from me. I'm trying to make sure that the camera is straight. That's about as straight as we can get. I always want to make sure that you can see the measurements because sometimes I forget I don't do them up here. I kind of do them down off to the side. So I want to make sure that that is available for you. So here is our 15-inch. This is a tinsel tie work frame wreath, and the difference between the tinsel ties is the big, thick, furry ties versus the thinner ones. These are known as tinsel. The smaller, thinner ones are known as pencil ties. So let me just double check. I think this has 18. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one's way down here. There's 7 and 8. So we have 8 to the inside, the top rail. So this has an elevation of, I want to say 2 inches. So it's already 2 inches from the bottom to the top. And then we'll have 10 on the outside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here's the last one, 10. So thankfully they have incorporated even numbers on the work frame wreaths, which makes it so much easier. They used to only have 17, I think. So what we are going to be doing is we are using an 11.5, it's not 11.5, 11.75, which when you search for it, it's a 12-inch round. This is going to be the Jesus is the Reason for the Season. So we're pairing this with the traditional red, white, and green colors for Christmas, popping this on a red metallic tinsel work frame. And then we're going to, for our base method, using 21-inch, I'm using the wide foil. So it's got a little bit thicker of the foil, wide foil Deco mesh. And so this is going to be our base color. We're going to come in and add some 10-inch curls to this, and then we're going to add some ribbons. There will not be a bow on this design because when you look at the size of the sign takes up the exact inner circle. So it's exactly the diameter of the inside circle. So that while you can put a bow in there, you won't, when you see the end result, you'll understand why. So we're just going to be doing that a little bit different. So this is perfect for those of you that are still trying to figure out how to make the perfect bow. This one you can completely skip it and still turn out a great quality product. So you're going to need 2 zip ties, one to start, one to finish. So I'm just using the little 6-inch ones. I am going to take, as soon as I find it, the end of my Deco mesh, and I'm just going to gather this in my hand, just so that I can contain this end, because remember, Deco mesh will fray where it is cut. So obviously we're experiencing that now. I'm going to drop this roll directly down in front of me so it'll just stay on the floor. I like to couple this with like placing it right underneath a interior, which means one of the 8 on the inside. I'm just pushing all the outside ones down so they're not in my way. So I'll try to find one that's like right over a weld, like this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, there's 2 gaps on the inside. I'm going to go right inside here with my Deco mesh. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to secure this right to the inside of that weld, just so that it kind of holds that in place. Of course, the zip tie would fall. Here we go. All right. Anytime you want to be patient and just stay inside, and of course, then it flips. Here we go. Right inside here. Sometimes using the smaller zip ties can be a pain because they're so small. It's kind of difficult to hold things in place. We're going to go ahead and snip that off. I'm going to clean this up a little bit because there is so much fray happening. I just don't want to deal with that. So I'm going to clean it up so it's a nice little ball there. And then we're all set and ready to go. So I take the whole end, just like, let's make sure that's out of the way. I'm going to measure this out 10 inches. So exactly 10 inches, and then I'm going to fluff, which means I want to make sure that if I put my hands inside all those folded places, it has a really nice look to that. And then we're going to give it one complete twist, just like that. Now the success that you will have with poufs is if you keep your measurements consistent. So it means, like, you know, if you're going to do 10-inch poufs, make sure every single one is poofing through 10 inches. Just like this, and that you pull it all the way out. so that we can see all those layers. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and keep going through. Sometimes it's a helpful tip is measure where 10 inches fall on your arm. So like right here. So instead of like constantly bringing it back over to the board, if I just remember it's almost to the inside of my elbow, then I can just kind of keep that consistent. And then I don't always have to, you know, run it through the numbers on my board. So just like this. We're staying with the traditional red, white, and green for Christmas. So I'm doing the same thing. Just measuring it on my arm where that's going to fall. Making sure I'm only hitting the top. My preferred method is I always do the inside before the outside. Again, make sure everything is fully extended. 3/4 up for me. Push everything. See how like right there, there's like this fold. So I want to make sure that I'm extending that out so you get a nice little poofy ball. Which is why it's called the Pouf method. It's like little bubbles. Just like that. And I'm going to take and make sure that my inside tinsels are all the way brought back out to the outside. 3/4 of the way up. And fluff. And if you have a difficult time with poofs, understand that poofs are probably the 5th hardest design to do with Deco mesh. So my tips are just keep, you know, take your time. Make sure your dimensions for each ball is exactly the same. Whatever you do, some people prefer to do 8 inches on the inside and then, you know, a bigger dimension on the outside. There is no right or wrong method. It's just a different method. I'm going to keep taking my inside ones. Plop this one in. And we do need to connect. Like right now it is one right before. So there still is a gap. So we need to connect the circle. So there's that. Make sure your tinsel ties are all to the front. 3/4 in. Make sure all of that beautiful mesh can be seen. It always likes to do it right at the end where you're pinching them. So I'm just going to join this one with the first one. That closes the circle. Again, make sure nothing stays folded. So right there we have completed the inside 6. Okay, and then from here, if we look at where the next pipe cleaner or the little tinsel tie is, we have one right here. We can go here. I wouldn't go the one directly underneath. So we have one that's directly underneath this. I kind of go off to the left. Same thing, measure out your 10 inches. This is a jump down to the bottom level. I'm going to kind of push this one out of the way. So I'm jumping down to the bottom. And we're going to do the same method all the way around till we wind up here again. So we'll end up having to connect. So measure out. I keep mine all at 10 inches. You could do 12 inches. It doesn't matter. It's going to create a very full wreath anyway. So now I'm going right in to my outside, and you're going to start to see how full this is going to get. So now it's going to add some dimension to our outside. And then right when the two pieces connect, I like to always make sure my edges are in the inside. That's just my preferred way of doing it. There's my 10. Make sure everything is nice and pretty. Sometimes you just have to unball it. Sometimes it'll get twisted, and if so, just stop. Take a moment and make sure everything is right where it needs to be. There we go. Again, making sure my ends meet to the center. Right there. See, like right there, just felt a little too crazy. And the edge was going to the center underneath. So I wanted to stop, get that reorganized the right way. Sometimes you can lift up your mesh on the top if it's in your way. So we do have a challenge. There is a 2-inch gap in the center that we are trying to fill. So even though we're using 21-inch with 10-inch, we're still trying to fill that gap that's in between. So from time to time, you may look up and see that, oh, I can still see the frame. Don't worry. I have a solution for that in a minute. Again, reorganize your mesh if you need to stop and do so. I always like to make sure it's even all the way through. Right into our next section. So now we're putting 10 poofs all the way around the bottom. We've added our first 8 on the top. Always make sure you know where your tinsel ties are, because that makes the next process so much easier. Here's our other 10. And my religious wreaths have a tendency of doing really well, so you're going to start to see a lot of those for the holidays, whether it's fall, Christmas. We're doing a lot more scripture-based wreaths. Look at how big that's getting, how full that is. That looks like a traditional Christmas wreath anyway, with this emerald green and the pops of red. I'm super excited to see the outcome of this one. So if you were doing this on a regular 14-inch Dollar Tree wreath frame, because we're dealing with a almost 12-inch sign, you can still put a bow on it, but and you can still do the poof method. It's just not going to feel as volume, like as full, because we're doing a second layer. Yours will be a little closer to the frame if you just did 14-inch Dollar Tree frame, which you can do. Your pipe cleaners, on the other hand, you may run out, because the ones on the work frame have a tendency of being a little longer. Okay. We are almost finished with this part of our base. Kind of dropped what I had in my hand. Wants to stay folded and not poof. couple more, and then we complete this circle. So I'm just straightening my mesh out again. 3/4 up. Unfold all the folds so that the poofs are going outward and not inward. Like, we don't want to be a bubble in, we want it to bubble out. Okay. This is the last one to complete my loop. So this means that this poor little tinsel tie is going to have to hold 2. So you have an option. You can undo it and slide this one in with that one. It's got to hold a lot of stuff in there. And then again, just make sure everything is fluffed, poofed out. And then you could run it through a second time. I am not going to in this case because I'm going to be using additional Deco mesh. So I'm just trimming off what I don't need. This is probably enough to go around just one more time to the outside. There's not that much there. I'm going to take my end, I'm going to bring this in. Here's where we started. Bringing this in. Just trying to get that over. And then I'm going to zip tie this right on that crossbar again. I love the bigger zip ties, just because they're so much easier to grab. Nice and tight. Snip that off. You can leave that there or you can trim it down. There we go. So we have start and end at exactly the same point. There is our poof base. Hi Linda, hi Joyce, welcome. Do you guys have any questions at all on the poof method? So this is just a poof base for this particular wreath. Now what we're going to do is in every single one of the 18 tinsel ties where we have the red, I didn't even do this. I should have cut a piece. Let me just snip one of these apart. I didn't realize when I was putting this together last night, I didn't save any to show you. So, what we are going to do is I have fabric, metallic, white mesh, and I also have fabric, metallic, red mesh. They're both cut to 10-inch pieces. Because this is a fabric mesh, you have to cut it with a rotary cutter, which means it's going to fray. So, the way to solve that is to take those 10-inch pieces, start with about an inch folded over, and then just roll those into a nice little bundle. I was looking for, I need to bring my other paper clips out. Go ahead and clip it to hold it. Same thing for the red. Roll those over. Okay. So you have a nice little bundle. If you have any frays, I go ahead and I dress those right now so that I don't have to come back. And then we're going to put one over the other, like a little X. And I like to zip tie mine because it just gives it an extra measure of making sure they don't come out. So I'm doing these bundles every single 18 tinsel ties. So we're just going to take these. I'm going to open, my tinsel ties are already open. I'm just going to tuck these little suckers in just like this. Pull them apart. just like so. And then we're just going to add these. I have them already all pre-done. So you can flip them, you know, if you want white on top and then red on top. It's up to you. We're just going to add those in to take that green and cut that green down. Just a touch. Nice and tight. One complete twist. And this is a really quick design that yields a very, very full wreath. So our goal is, let's save the space on our tinsel ties, and then this also fills the gap a little bit more. Remember, we're trying to make up that 2-inch gap in that center. Here it's not necessarily doing it, but it is filling up the top part of our wreath base. There we go. So it just helps when you have them already pre-built. Okay. There's that for the top. So the top is all full. Those tinsel ties pushing those curls all the way in. This is by no means a thin wreath. This is a very full design. So this is already at 6 inches, which is why if you added a bow, it would be like, wow, way big. So now the curls to the outside are covering that depth, that deficit, because they're kind of joining with the ties. Let's get this one going. White up here, so you can see how full it's getting. Hi Barbara, welcome. Hi Diane, thank you for joining. And you can just move, you know, whatever color preference is. If you have two that are like, oh, the white are touching, just spin them around. Put them wherever you would like them to be. Couple more. I think there's like 5 left. So they go in pretty easy. Open. So this is a really good base for almost any traditional Christmas color. And if you happen to have a lot of 21-inch mesh laying around, this is a perfect way to use all that up. I've done these on my snowman wreaths with the snowman kits because it creates a very full design. Last one. Our last little curl bundle is going straight in the center. Okay, just like so. Like I said, if there are any frays, you can address them now, but we're going to be adding embellishments to these, and we're also going to be adding some ribbon tails to them. You know, you're going to eventually have frays irregardless because it's fabric mesh. It was not cut with a wood burning tool because it's fabric mesh. But right now, this wreath measures, depends on how you're measuring it. I measure it from the base Deco mesh, so this is right at 25 inches in diameter. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the sign. So this is going to be our sign that sits directly in this wreath base. So like I said, this is from Craft Outlet. This is where I got that. I've already added my business card to the back because customers have asked me to do that so that they know where they purchased their wreath from. So I'm going to use 22-inch floral wire. I'm going to cut off probably about 18 inches. And then the holes in this sign are already there, so I don't have to add any, which is nice. A little bit longer. So don't need my metal hole punch. Put these back. So I'm going to add my wire to my sign. So I've got holes in the top and the bottom. Pretty large holes. So you can do pipe cleaner, you can do floral wire, it's up to you. And I'm just going to build these right over the back of my hole about 5 times. It'll give it about a 1/4 inch base. Do the other side here. Again, right over the hole. Just build that twist right over that. Okay, then I'm going to take this. Before I place it, I want to pull all those curls that we put in. I want to pull them to the outside. So I want to make sure they're not underneath. So I think I've got the ones here. So I'm going to go ahead and secure my sign. It's going to get secured to the top circle, the rail, because remember we discovered that, hey, that is already 10 inches. So again, I'm pulling, making an adjustment. I'm going to go ahead and twist this one. Did I even hit the rail? No. I'm like, why am I twisting and it's not going anywhere? Okay, so let me go ahead and make the adjustments down below. So pull your curls out because we don't want them to be in the center. And then we're going to attach that to the center ring. As soon as I find, there's my other one. Pull this one back out. Sometimes they get a little squishy, so just nice and tight right in there. Now this one, you know how most of the time I always tell you, well, let's work on feathering the edge. We're not going to be doing that on this one. I do want to make sure, however, that all of our curls are out, that we've got all 4 ends on all of those, that we have little pops of green in here all the way around, which we do, so that we have like all the colors represented all the way around the outside. Now here's where we're going to do something a little bit different. Since we're not doing a bow, we are going to be alternating a 2.5 inch, which is cut to 24 inches. We're going to be taking this, and this is going to be a half bow, which means we're going to do those just like we do the small 1.5 inches. We're going to go up about 2 inches from the top. We're going to pinch in. Okay. We're going to plop this right inside of our tinsel. Give it a couple twists. You're going to open this, and then you are going to right side your other part of your tail, so that now these are your half bows. So that it looks like that. Oops, just like that. So we're going to alternate between 2.5 inch and then the other is going to be, because there is the candy cane and little peppermints, I thought that we would do a candy cane with a red and white diagonal stripe. These are 1.5 inches, but they are cut to 14-inch pieces because we're going to place these together. Okay, we're going to fold them to the center. We're going to squish in like a little ruffle, right? And then we're going to go and alternate those around the outside. So we always need to know where, hey, where's the center? And we're going to put these in diagonal options, just like so. So here, 2.5-inch half bow, cut to 24-inch pieces. We're going to pinch this in. I love this ribbon because it's got a little furry edge. So open, right side that, just like this. Now we're doing little crisscross tails. So I did the candy canes here on top. Now I'm going to do the peppermint. I'm going to alternate them. So now it's the peppermint on top. You need to fold them in half to find the center. Go ahead and place those on the inside. Oop, should be right there. Separate them. There we go. And you can just kind of, if you want a little curl around them, you just draw your fingers through. Here's our other half bow. And we're going to do this all the way around the outside and then all the way around the inside, just alternating the two. Open, right side, and then I try to, sometimes because we're working right over that curl space, is I'll adjust the curls so the ribbon and the curls are available to be seen. So we should have 4 of each on the top since there was a grand total of 8. So this way works well as a technique, and you can use this on any style wreath, like any season, especially for those who struggle with their bows. Nothing wrong with using a little half bow method. Here we will add, kind of tucked underneath, our other half bow. Just like so. Okay, tuck this one right in here. I think the colors are spot on for this one. I'm going to make sure this goes under my other tails. And then we have one more crisscross. Make sure we alternate the colors. One on top and then the other one on top. This one's going to go right in here. Whoops. And this is where I said you can wait till you get to this part and then you can trim any of your frays that you need to. You can move these around any way you want. There's a fray. So the inside is done. Now we're going to work to the outside, and what that's going to do is pull all this in here into the design. So just start with whichever ribbon you prefer. You're not going to really be able to line them up to where they go opposite of what's on top because we have an extra 2 on the bottom and they're a little closer together, but you can try, you know, to do your best to make that happen. I just love this combination. It is so easy, but it creates a very stunning design. Oop. Okay. So, Tensi said, I missed it from the beginning. Hopefully you will have a video. Wonderful green mesh link. So the green mesh is actually a 21-inch mesh done on a Pouf method on a 15-inch work frame wreath. And then we came back in and added 10-inch fabric curls in every single one of those 18 tinsel ties. And now we're adding the ribbons. To the entire design. And see, now this is going to feel like it's extending it, but they basically just cascade down and around like everything else. It's all cascading down and around, kind of folding it into a nice little shape. So I'll make sure these are centered. And then I'm alternating which pattern's on top with the 1.5-inch ribbon. The ribbon has, for all of this entire design, the ribbon is from Kringle Designs. Or no, sorry, not Kringle. 5th Street Studios. So they have, you can find them on Etsy. For all the ribbon I used here, I'm going to curb some more phrase, because like I said, I'm done, you know, fussing with that section, so I can go ahead and trim any phrase that are popping up. 2 inches for our half bows, and these are the 2.5 inches. They are cut to 24-inch pieces to make that overly large half bow. So this is showing you can vary all these techniques on any design you do. Just kind of figure out what it is that you like to see and go to town. Make that happen for yourself. And then we're going to add a small embellishment to this, like we could possibly put anything else on this wreath, right? I want to go high. Oop, needed to go low. I always like put one high, one low, one high, one low, all the way around. It's a little challenging to get to the ones on the side because they don't, you know, this up here is easy to work with, and here you're kind of working up underneath, but it still all makes for a beautiful, gorgeous wreath. These are like the ones I almost called Jurassic Park. It's the spare no expense. It's like, let's use really nice, gorgeous ribbon, fabric mesh that's very super soft. You know, we've done just about everything you could possibly, you know, do on that wreath. Let's pull this one out to the side. Flip. This wreath is currently available on the website, so if you were inclined to want to purchase it, you can do so there. It's at the pinned link at the bottom. We just have 3 more sets to do, And then we'll add our little embellishments. I mean, on here, you could come in and add really super cute little Christmas balls. Would be gorgeous. Like, you can put them in where your tinsels go. I didn't measure this one correctly because it's way too small. There we go. Much better. You could add candy canes. The Dollar Tree will have really nice candy canes that you can add to this method, to the design, I should say. Okay, we're doing the candy canes on top. So I'm always fussing with the bottom, and then I have to come back up to the top and then just readjust those little curls. And here's our last ribbon going in. I want to say somebody, it might have been Target. Somebody had really super cute little 1.5-inch balls that were green with red dots. That would have looked super cute in this design. I don't think I have any that I am aware of. There's that one. Just going back through and making sure I have all of my ribbons. So let me show you. It's going to be hard to get this all to fit in the camera, but there is the entire design in a nutshell. There we go. Curb your phrase if you can. Just like that. Look how gorgeous that is. This is massive. I mean, look at my cutting board. This is a 36-inch cutting board, but you have a very full wreath. Very full. Okay, so what can we possibly do to embellish this? Like I said, you could use scatters and fillers and put them on the ends of all of the little tinsel ties. I like having the tinsel ties here because we've used metallic ribbon, we've used metallic mesh, so I want that to stay. So what we're going to do is Hobby Lobby sells these little picks, and they're like little peppermints, simulated peppermints. We're going to take these and we are going to add them like this. I always like to make sure that the ends are always twisted together because they have a tendency of wanting to come off. We're going to take these and they're going to go right in the center of our loops, wherever we have our loops at. So like right here, it's that little peppermint is going to be right in there. So these ones have longs. They have shorts. So I'm just going to take my hot glue. I'm going to put that around the end because that'll help keep the glue on there. And then I'm going to glue that right into the center of every single one of the 18-inch or the 18 pipe cleaners. So just different varieties. I'm going to try to mix them up. So there's some round ones, like I said, some long ones. And so I'm always working in the direction of the twist. Right in the center. You could curl your tinsel ties. You could take them out and cut them off if you don't want them there. I'm going to do a straight one. we just want to make sure we have the glue to place those inside. So you get 6 in the picks that Hobby Lobby carries. So this one needs to go a couple. I just put this one in, so I'm going to sneak this one way over here and put that inside. So I try to vary them so we don't have like the same, like circles go with circles. We'll tuck this one in down here. Make sure we remove our glue threads. I have this is Gorilla Glue. I wanted to put this one right inside here. Okay, that is that pick. I think there's 6 on them, so you'll need a grand total of 3. This one's like a leftover one I happen to have from some other project. Let's put this one. We have one there. I'm going to put this one in here. Then I'm going to take it's like a rectangle shape, I guess. So we have them in every single one of the top ones. And then now I'm going to do it on the bottom. Why? Because on the sides you can see the ribbon tails, and so you'll also be able to see where those little candy picks are going to be. So there's one. Go ahead and take that off, so that we can twist and use this one. Trying to do the same thing, and not like I'm looking at the top and saying, okay, where do I need to try to add one to break those up? Okay, any day now. There we go. I hate when they put the picks in places where it's just really challenging to try to get to them. And this one. Okay. We'll use our rectangle shaped one. Or we can actually use this one. And I'm just placing these right in the center of our tinsel. There's that one. We finished that one, which is a straight one. So let's use the ball. So again, the little peppermint candies are from Hobby Lobby. I'm sure they're probably already out right now. There's that one. We'll do our long skinny one. Okay, let's see how many more I need. One. I need 3 more. So I'm going to place this one way over here. There's that one. And then I'm like looking, I'm like, okay, we have 2 sticks. So let's not do this little stick. Let's do the little round ball. I'm always trying to twist them nice and tight so that I can get the glue on there to kind of hold that wrapper in place. There's that one. And then let's see what else. Probably the round one. Let's make sure our loops, everything's ready for that to go in. And then we're done. Believe it or not, that is the entire process to put this one together. So it looks amazing. I'm going to show you what it looks like on the door so you can see exactly how full this is on a regular size door. So give me just 1 second. I'm going to pivot you up. Hello. Trying to make sure you can see the door. I think so. So let's see. So this one's it's not flat, but like when I show you, look how thick that is from the side. It is a very thick wreath. So sometimes we need the help of my door. Let me find it. Yes, it's there. So, whoa. Need to put the locks back on them. Okay, so move the glue threads, right? It's all ready for pictures. We need to make sure it's in the best possible light. Make sure all the ribbons are all where they need to be so you can see everything. I think that's straight. I'll stand back and look at it here in a second. So this just makes, if you take the time while you're prepping it here, when you go to take your photos, you're like, okay, I've already done all that. So I don't have to stop and take a picture, you know, pull. Oh, one of my ribbons looks flat. Take all your frays off if you have any frays hanging. Most of the time it's just glue threads. There we go. Always make sure you can read and see your sign. But I think that's, yeah, I think that's, we are straight. But that's exactly, now this is a 36-inch full-size door for your front. So, make sure, there we go. I think that's better. That's how it's going to fit on a front door. So if you're looking for something very full and popping all those colors with the message that you want it to say, then this is a perfect design for you. Let me zoom in so you guys don't have to see me, but I want to make sure you can see everything on the wreath. So I'll kind of move to the side. That is our final design for today. So this is a combination method. So we're using the same techniques that you've seen me use in the past with the half bows using ribbon tails. No bow on this, no bow needed. Honestly, I don't know where you would fit it anyway. You can still see every color mesh. You can see every color ribbon used. So it's a combination of a poof method with curls ribbon tails, half bows, and then embellishments on a work frame wreath. And I think that sums it up. Like I said, this is available for sale on my website, which is catscreationsandmore.com. If you guys would love to join the private group, it still is open for the remainder of July. So make sure you head on over there. You can click the link at the below. It'll also take you there. So you can take a look at that and see all the stuff that you get for signing up. Other than that, that's pretty much all I have for you. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and that you've learned a totally different method and what that type of method will yield, because this is a really good option if you have 12-inch signs and you're like, wow, those are just way too big on my wreaths. Why not put one together in a method like this and really create what I call a showstopper wreath? I mean, it's basically screaming, pay attention to me. So other than that, you guys have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you next week. And that's pretty much all I have for you. So I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial, and bye for now, everyone.